If you are someone who's been waiting on the sidelines, if you want to work in Canada, if you want to live in Canada, then I think this is a really great opportunity for all of you out there. The reality of Canada is that Canada still has a massive labor shortage, and the government of Canada wants to bring in more number of people. What's up YouTube, it's Shivansh here. Today's video is going to be super important for all of you who keep asking questions in my YouTube video comments and also on my Instagram reels about how to convert your Canadian visitor visa into a work permit. There has been a major announcement by the government of Canada on this topic, and this is a huge positive news for all of you who are planning to work in Canada and eventually apply for your Canadian PR. We will discuss all the details about this latest news, what are the conditions that you need to meet in order to be eligible for this, and I will also tell you the exact steps that you need to take if you want to work in Canada and if you want to convert your visitor visa into a Canadian work permit. These exact steps are mentioned towards the end of this video, so please make sure to watch this video till the very end so that you get the whole information. And before we begin, please make sure to hit the like button and also subscribe to my channel if you want to watch more such videos about working and finding a job in Canada. Your support is extremely important for the growth of this channel, and if you like and share this video, a lot more number of people will be able to watch it and benefit from it. So with that being said, let's start this video. So first of all, a lot of people have this confusion whether it is actually possible to convert your Canadian visitor visa into a Canadian work permit or not. The answer to this is yes, it is actually possible to get a Canadian work permit if you have a Canadian visitor visa, but it does not really get converted as such. If you fulfill certain conditions that we'll discuss shortly in this video, you'll be able to get a Canadian work permit once you are already in Canada on a visitor visa. Now let me give you a little bit of a background on what this rule exactly is and what's the update on this rule. So before COVID, if you had to get your Canadian work permit, what you had to do was leave Canada or exit the border of Canada and then re-enter Canada, and the border security officer will give you your work permit. And this is called flag polling, and this has been a very common practice for all the people before COVID who wanted to get their Canadian work permit. But when COVID happened, Canada was in a lockdown and no new immigrants were coming to Canada, and that led to a severe labor shortage in Canada. And because of this, the government of Canada introduced this new rule that all visitors who are in Canada will be allowed to apply for the Canadian work permit without even leaving Canada. And if they meet certain eligibility conditions, they'll be able to get a Canadian work permit and they can start working in Canada, which would help solve the labor shortage issue. And this rule was applicable until 28th of February 2023. But the latest news is that this rule has been extended for 2 more years until 28th of February 2025. And this is a great positive news for all of you, because now you have 2 more years to benefit from this rule and turn your dream of living and working in Canada into a reality. Now, the reason why this policy has been extended for 2 more years is that even though there's a recession going on in the world and a lot of people have lost their jobs or are still losing their jobs because of these massive layoffs that are happening in the biggest companies of the world, the reality of Canada is that Canada still has a massive labor shortage, and the government of Canada wants to bring in more number of people in order to live and work in Canada and contribute towards its economy. And it's not that all types of jobs are equally in demand in Canada. The government of Canada is looking for specific people with specialized skills, and if you are someone who has those skills, then you're in luck, because now you can benefit from this extended policy for another 2 years. Now let's talk about some of the conditions that you need to fulfill in order to apply for a Canadian work permit if you are on a visitor visa in Canada, or if you want to convert your visitor visa into a Canadian work permit. The very first condition is that you need to have a valid status in Canada on the day that you apply. So the day that you apply for your Canadian work permit, you need to be in Canada on a valid visitor visa. And honestly, applying for your visitor visa is not a huge task. It is actually very straightforward and very simple. You just need to follow the instructions that are mentioned on Canada's website and just provide them with all the documentation and all the information, and you should be able to get a Canadian visitor visa pretty easily. But if you are confused and if you want to know how to apply for your Canadian visitor visa on your own, then let me know in the comments below, and I'll be happy to make a detailed video for you where I'll go step by step on how you need to create your profile and what information you need to add on those forms and what are the different documents that you need to submit in order to apply for your Canadian visitor visa. Now I know that a lot of people in India and across the world charge hundreds or thousands of dollars just to apply for your Canadian visitor visa, but honestly it only costs $185 Canadian dollars in order to apply for your Canadian visa, and it is very straightforward. And if you want to know how to do that on your own, then let me know in the comments below and I'll be happy to make a video for you. The second condition is that you need to have a job offer supported by an LMIA or an LMIA exempt offer letter. Now, if you don't know what LMIA is, it stands for Labor Market Impact Assessment, and this basically means that the employer who's going to hire you for this specific job needs to get this assessment done and approved by the government of Canada and show that they want to hire someone from outside of Canada, which is going to be you in this case, because they cannot find someone in Canada who has these same skills. Now, honestly, you don't have to worry about getting your LMIA on your own, because that's the responsibility of your employer who's going to hire you. They need to get the LMIA done. They need to pay for it. What you need to focus on is finding an employer in Canada and getting your job offer. Now, if you want to get an LMIA approved job offer in Canada, then the most legit source for that is jobbank.gc.ca, which is the official website of the government of Canada for finding jobs in Canada. You just need to go to this website and look for jobs that make you eligible for applying for a work permit and that also fit your skill set, and then you just need to get an offer letter from one of these employers. Now, if you want to watch a detailed video on how you can search for jobs and apply for LMIA approved jobs on the Government of Canada's website, then let me know in the comments below and I'll be happy to make a detailed video on this topic as well. The third and the final condition that you need to fulfill in order to convert your Canadian visitor visa into a work permit is to submit an employer-specific work permit application to the Government of Canada on or before 28th of February 2025. Keep in mind that with this rule, once you are approved, you will only get an employer-specific work permit or a closed work permit and not an open work permit. What this means is that once your work permit is approved, you will only be able to work for the employer that's written on your work permit. You cannot work for anyone that you want. Now, after a few years, once you are eligible to apply for your PR and once you get your Canadian PR, at that point you should be able to work for any employer that you want. But until then, or especially for this rule, you will have to work for the employer that's written on your work permit. Alright, so now let's talk about the exact steps that you need to take in order to get the maximum benefit out of this rule. The very first step, in my opinion, is that even before you come to Canada, you should start looking for jobs on the Canadian Job Bank or jobbank.gc.ca and start figuring out what type of skills are required by the employers in Canada in order for you to get an LMIA approved job offer. This will give you an idea about what the employers in Canada are looking for, and if you don't already possess those skills, then try to acquire as many skills as possible so that once you come to Canada, you are fully prepared, and once you start applying for jobs, you will be the topmost candidate in that list. Now, once you do that, step 2 is to apply for your Canadian visitor visa. And as I mentioned before, if you want to watch a detailed video on how to apply for your Canadian visitor visa all by yourself, then let me know in the comments below. The next step for you is once you get your Canadian visitor visa approved, then you need to come to Canada and then start looking for employers who are willing to hire people on an LMIA approved job offer. But since you will already be in Canada at that point, I would highly recommend you to go around, talk to people who are owners of small businesses and see if there are any job postings or any job vacancies for any specific skills that you might possess. Try to make connections with as many people as possible, because networking will be your biggest tool if you want to get an LMIA approved job offer in Canada. And finally, once you obtain your offer letter, all that's left to do is apply for your Canadian work permit before 28th of February 2025. Again, the process to apply for your Canadian work permit will be very similar to applying for your Canadian visitor visa. You just need to go to Canada's website and apply for your work permit from there. And that's basically all you need to do. If you are someone who's been waiting on the sidelines, if you want to work in Canada, if you want to live in Canada, then I think this is a really great opportunity for all of you out there. You just need to come to Canada on a visitor visa and then apply for your Canadian work permit, provided you find an offer letter, an LMIA approved offer letter or an LMIA exempt offer letter. I think the hardest part in this entire process would be searching for employers and getting an offer letter that is LMIA approved. But once you get past that step, everything else is going to be very smooth and very easy for you, and you'll be able to work and live in Canada and eventually also apply for your Canadian permanent residency or Canadian PR. So I hope you guys found this video to be useful, and I really hope that a lot of you guys are able to benefit from this new policy or this extended policy. With that being said, please make sure to hit the like button and also subscribe to my channel to watch more such videos about working in Canada, finding a job in Canada, studying in Canada. I've made a lot of videos on this channel, so please make sure to also check out all the different videos that I have on my channel. I'm sure you'll find them to be very useful. Also, don't forget to hit the like button and share this video with your friends and family so that maximum number of people can benefit from it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.